Welcome to the Dell Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Dell questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Dell challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Dell Walmsley.
Welcome to Dell Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Dell Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today is Tell Dell Tuesday, and we have a wonderful guest, and I think it's incredible that we can go from a beginner investor all the way up to a master's investor and everywhere in between, because you're sitting out there right now thinking, interesting stuff. I like to listen to it, but it doesn't seem possible. Doesn't seem like it could be me. That's always what it comes down to. Could I actually do it? First of all, is it real? And after 37 years of being on the radio, I think most of you have some idea that it's got to be a little bit real or we wouldn't be here. But then number two, the question is, not only is it real, can it be done? And then number three, can I do it is the real question. Many people get stuck in that can I do it phase. And so today I've brought on a great guest, Scott Kleman, and out of Seattle, Washington, and he's going to share with us what it's like to get started. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dell. Thank you for having me.
So as I said, people get stuck. They get stuck at the, what about me type thing. Let's start at the beginning. What do you do for a living, and when did you get that moment in your life where you said, I need to look into something else, other forms of income?
Well, right now currently I'm a union sheet metal worker, in Seattle, Washington here. I also I'm a licensed real estate agent here as well, just to do something when I get off of work. And I guess it was right around 2019, is when I first started in the sheet metal industry, and I wasn't making that much money since I was what they would call a material handler, and I had a bunch of debt from going to school, and I just needed to do something else. And I heard you on the radio, and that's when I kind of had the aha moment, like, oh man, this is it. So I started listening to you more and more, and researching how to do this more by getting into lifestyles, and I knew that this had to be something good, so I was immediately attracted to it, and that's why I got my real estate license. Not that you needed to do that, but is the industry that I was attracted to. So I started looking into it more and more. But yeah,
it's interesting. We're here to talk about how you got into looking at changing your finances, but I'm going to take you a little sideways on this for a second.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I took every kind of trade there was. I always thought I was going to be a tradesman. I loved it. And metal working, I took that. So, you talk about sheet working, I'm talking about small breaks, big giant breaks. People don't know what a break is, I'm sure, unless you ever worked with sheet metal. Do you work with brakes? Do you use spot welders anymore? Do those things still exist? Or is everything TIG welding? What do you do?
The majority of the industry is HVAC work. Yes, if you were working in a shop, you will be working with a brake. You'll be working with shears, TIG welders, all those machines that I like to stay way far away from. They're big, they're loud, and yeah, they're pretty scary if you don't, especially if you're new, they're very intimidating, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So
it's fun. We used to have to, they made us, like when you go to school and you're studying this stuff, they make you make boxes. Can you make a perfect box?
I can.
All your corners perfect, and then can you tack your corners together? Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
It's not easy.
There we go. I digress from where we're at just because I'm taking myself back to because it was so much fun to work with us. I actually have welding equipment in my house, and I can cut. I've got every kind of metal cutter there is. I still work with metal, but I'm mostly a wood guy. But again, I digress, and just let you know that you can come from anywhere and have any kind of hobby and do whatever you want to do, and still real estate still makes sense. So you're a real estate agent on the side. What was the pounding point? I mean, that said, hey, I got to get into real estate.
It was, it's, yeah, man, it was, it's funny. I remember the day and, I was listening to the show and I'm, I'm more I forget there's the A or the B personality, but I needed to do a lot of the research and because I was always just scared just to jump right into it. Because it was just an industry that I didn't know much about. So I just kept doing a lot of, um, a lot of research and it just kind of hit me when after I talked to enough people and going to the seminars and getting a hold of a lot of the members, everybody was having success and everybody, I was just thinking this can't be a scam because everybody's loving this and everybody is a part of this group um and I couldn't wait to be a part of it, but I just had so much debt and I feel like I couldn't get into it because I just didn't know enough. I didn't know how the lifestyles, I didn't know how they trained. I didn't know how I wasn't educated in doing it. Um, so that's when I guess I just knew at that point, I need to have what these people have. I need to learn how these people do it. And that was about 2020. And that's right around when COVID hit. I gotta have a plan B because if I'm at home or I lose my job, I'm, I'm in big trouble. And that's when I decided however I do it, I gotta figure out how to get into this and I need to buy my first property. And that's when I started.
Okay. So we're
Yeah.
going to call that a type B, and that's analysis paralysis. We're going to call that, and it's natural for guys like you and I. I'm a type B. We research everything, and if we research long enough, we can forget about it and go do something else.
Yeah,
Knock
exactly.
yourself out of it, right? That's always what a type B does. We like to take no action, so we don't do anything. One of the things about being a B though is that you never make a mistake because if you never make a decision, you can never be wrong, and that's a beautiful place to be in your mind, right? But you decided to do it. So how did you take the first 2 day class? Was it online or did you go live somewhere?
I took it online, and I did it several times because I felt like, I gotta be missing something here because it just seemed too easy. And so I took, I did it, every weekend, maybe like five in a row. And I was like, this just can't be, it can't be. And so and then I did the seminar here when it came to Seattle. It's out in Bellevue here. And that's when I started meeting people, face to face. And then I got a hold of the ambassador here and still at that point, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I see that this is a real thing. Um, yeah, I just, I was trying to financially prepare for it, but I was still in the mindset that I had to pay off debt. I had to get back to zero in order to start doing this. And that's not what I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now. And you don't have to do that. I did it the wrong way and I should have listened to you, Dell, but I didn't. So I started paying off debt and then, I, I eventually just said, I don't want to pay this all off. I just need to buy a house. And so that's what I did is eventually I just threw in the towel on trying to get back to zero
You
and,
unboxed a lot of stuff right there, Scott. That's a
yeah.
lot of information. So we're going to have to work around it. I'm going to see if I can remember and get to it all. I'm going to pick at it in different pieces. First of all, you took the thing multiple times. So when we come back, I want you to think about what were the aha moments and go, boy, that's the stuff I needed. Because obviously you didn't even believe it after you heard it. But let's come back and talk about what were the aha moments that really changed your mind. While we do that, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Scott Kleman and the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Scott Kleman out of Seattle, Washington. And he's just starting to share with us as we went to break what were the most important aha moments he got out of taking the 2-day class. And he actually had taken it multiple times, so I'm interested to see, Scott, as you look back, do you remember anything that was really the aha moments that, this makes sense now, I think I can do it?
There were several things. I think the biggest thing for me anyway was finding out how I was able to do it for me because I had, like I said, I had a lot of debt and my credit was great. It was fine, but I had a lot of debt. So I remember I spoke to, his name was Chris, who was running one of the 2 days, and he explained to me that all the different types of the loans that you could get that like a DSCR loan. And anyway, there were those types of loans that, and he explained how we acquire the houses through hard money. And I think him showing me that roadmap of I don't need, a huge down payment or like I just basically like a conventional loan that you would get at a big bank. Once I saw it or I was explained, it was explained to me that this is how you're able to buy the house and pay for the rehab and, went down that road, then that was kind of the biggest deal to me because I was able to do that. I didn't have to have this big mound of money in the bank in order to start buying one house. So that I think that was the biggest deal.
Okay, you brought up another point that I thought was interesting, and that is you'd taken the class multiple times, but when you came and saw it live, there's something about meeting real people. You see it online, and I'm from Missouri, and we call it the show me state. It's like I believe none of what I hear and only half of what I see. The half of what I see is online. I don't believe much of what I see online. In fact, I'll watch YouTube and go, Trump just blew up the world. Then I'll go, let me look that up. And I'll look over here and go, no, it never even happened, right? These 3 people were just fired. You look it up. No, they were really fired. It's just weird how the internet lies about everything. And this industry is not different. I mean, they lie about everything, about how you can get rich in real estate overnight with no money. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's been every guy in the world out there that's tried this. David O'Donnell, Robert Allen, Jeff McCone, Tommy Boo, the Mylans, Ron LeGrand, Carlton Sheet, Robert Kiyosaki. Even Donald Trump had a seminar on real estate investing at one time. Right before he became president the first time, he got sued for $50 million he got sued and he paid $50 million to shut the company down and go away so he could run for president. I thought that was funny. I go, well, so there is a lot of stuff out there that would lead you to not believe what you see. And I think touching people for real makes a big difference. So I thought that was a good point that you made there. You say you have debt. You keep saying I was deep in debt. There's all kinds of debt. I'll give an example, and let's laugh about this one. I own a $10 million apartment. I have $9 million worth of debt on it. Well, that doesn't sound that bad to me. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you have $1 million worth of equity. That's pretty cool. And that's working debt. So you keep screaming debt. What kind of debt was it that had you so scared?
It was a lot of credit card debt. And it was also, school loans, personal loans. It was, it was not good debt. It was all bad debt. And that was from going from job to job, not getting paid very much. I was floundering, I was just trying to figure out, man, what to do. And, I was irresponsible with money too. It was just like anybody with credit card debt, I had a little bit of a spending problem, um, but yeah, it just, yeah, it ultimately, it wasn't like it was taking over my life or anything like that, but it was not good debt. And so I was trying to figure out a way to not only take care of that, but also do something that where I could actually get ahead and, just getting paid more at my hourly job. Yeah, that might have taken care of it, but in the long run, I was looking for something that, I wasn't going to be stuck in a place, doing something, yeah, where I had to be there in order to get paid. So
All right, so let's
this,
talk about you came out of this class and you decided you could do it. What steps did you take to get that first deal done?
well, I talked a lot with the mentors. Um, so I relied heavily on them. And Sorrel, I spoke with him a lot, and he helped me out on going through evaluating the deals, making sure like kind of, helping me out a lot. Um, Also just contacting everybody from that were the Lifestyles members and the in the vendor program. So, in the as far as getting the loans, getting pre-qualified for the hard money loan, getting qualified for the conventional, just talking to everybody, and everybody was super helpful. And um, yeah, any question that I had, Sorrel was right there. He would always answer his phone, text message or call anytime. And um, so yeah, I found that, well, I got the property through the email blast, and um, and yeah, I was evaluating just about every property that came through the email blast, and I was doing that on the Quest program here that you offer, so I can have the same tool as everybody else was using, and that helped out a lot. And just running the after you've ran the numbers on, 100 different houses, you start to get kind of a feel for, okay, this is a good deal. This is not a good deal. And yeah, I really relied heavily on the mentor program though.
I agree with you that in in the process of analysis is that even though we give you this incredible analysis tool to use, which was the Quest, who basically does all the math for you and calculates everything for you, the reality is that you need to go through 50 of them, and I just use a number. It doesn't need to be 50, some number where you see it be no, 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 no. So the one
Hmm.
comes up and you go, wow, that one makes sense. Because if you just saw everything and everything seemed to make sense, then there would be no gradation to be able to go, I should pick this one. It'd be like, I can't do them all. Which one should I do? And I think it's important you get to the point where you find that there's a bunch of no's so that one yes really makes a difference. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back with Scott Goman and the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Scott Coleman Scott Coleman, I'm sorry, out of Seattle, Washington. And Scott, I'm assuming that the property you bought wasn't in Seattle, since that's not one of our better places to own rental real estate due to the real estate laws there, the landlord-tenant laws. So where did you buy this property at?
I bought this property in Brazoria, Texas, which is down there, was that southwest of Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is yeah, what is that? I think it's Galveston County. Or sorry, that's Harris, yeah, Harris County. Sorry, I'm not too familiar with Texas, like the geography, but I'm learning pretty quickly
Well, I think
with
that's even
all
more
the different.
interesting that you're not familiar with it. So my question is, and really everybody out there's question is, so how did you do that? I mean, did you fly down there every day and deal with this thing and go inspect it yourself? And what did you do? How did you do this? I mean, that's Seattle, Washington, Houston, Texas. That's a long ways away, man.
Yeah. No, I've been to Texas one time, and it was just for a couple days. It was anyway. Yeah, I do not know the area at all. Um, but what I learned actually in the seminars that you can actually do it remote. That I don't need to be down there. I don't need to see any of the properties like physically. I don't need to meet any of the people that I'm talking to on the phone. Um, yeah, I don't. That was a really hard thing for me too, was to kind of trust that. And when I tell people what I'm doing, they call me crazy, but uh, you know, like I said, after going through the seminars and learning the process, the lifestyles way of doing this, it 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 absolutely works. I yeah, I'm a real guy. Trust me, this actually works.
So who,
But that
who inspected the property for you? Who inspected it so you knew what you were actually getting, and who went out and got the bids for you to do the rehab work that needed to be done?
So I hired an inspector through the vendor list. So everybody who I hired to do everything, this is all through the vendor list and in the lifestyles portal. I got the three bids. All three of them were on the lifestyles vendors. And just went on that list or went on there and punched it all in, called the people, told them, hey, I'm a new member, lifestyles member. And they were all everybody who I call on there, once I tell them, hey, I'm a lifestyles member, everyone's happy to help me. And that like was a huge relief to me that it's like everyone's on the same team and everyone knows what I'm going through. So I just tell them, hey, this is my first time. And everyone helped me out big time, walked me through it. Um, and so that made it so much easier. And yeah, so that was a really nice part.
Now, did the inspector and or the people that went out and gave you the bids, did those guys send you videos or pictures or written and, photogenic type information about what they found?
Yeah, the the inspector, I got a full inspection report. I paid a little bit extra to get, for termites and stuff like that, because again, I was skeptical, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was right with the house, or everything that, yeah, I wanted to know everything about the house, I should say. Um, and the general contractors, they would send me videos, along with a written estimate, uh, very detailed, and then that way I can comb through all the estimates and see, matched up with the inspection report, that it was going to cover everything that needed to be addressed with the property.
I'm very curious, for the listener's sake. Was there discrepancy from we had the inspectors' videos and report, and then you had these general contractors giving you a bid on what they thought needed to be done. Was there a discrepancy between the three bids?
There was a pretty big range between one of the estimates, excuse me, and there were things that may or may not have should have been done in the other two. Um, but I provided the inspection report to the general contractors so they can make sure that everything that was in the inspection report was actually addressed and taken care of. Um, and then at that point, they would revise their estimate, and they would do it quickly because obviously we're this is all time sensitive stuff. I didn't want somebody to sneak in and get this house because sometimes you'll work on it pretty hard on the front end, get all these people out there, and you gotta act fast sometimes. But yeah,
Okay, so not a lot of problems there. That was an easy one. It always gets me when they're all over the place, and then you have to decide who's telling the truth.
well,
And
yeah, the one of the bids, it had, it was, double what the other two bids were. So if I only got that one bid, I would think, if I ran the numbers with that one bid that was double, the deal wouldn't work. And I wouldn't have bought the house. There's no way I would have done that. But the other two, they were pretty close and comparable. Um, and I made sure on this deal that I was like, man, there's so much meat on this bone that, like I can't lose, but I was super careful and I got a really good deal on the house and all the numbers are still in the green. And yeah, so it worked out great.
Just out of curiosity, what was the after repaired value that the mortgage company came back with the appraisal that they thought it was worth after you fixed it up, and what did you actually buy it for?
The after repair value, it came in at 248,000. I purchased the house for 111,000.
Wow, so there was quite a bit of room there.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's a
hmm
lot. So, what was the total renovation cost? Just out of curiosity.
The total renovation cost as of, let's see here, looking, 68,800.
Wow, you made a killing on
hmm
this deal.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing, 120,000 gross. You know, I'm trying to say how much equity you bought. 120 grand worth of equity, but you had to put 68 back into it, so 70 from 120. That's 50, and then whatever closing costs and all. You must have made. You got to make close to 40 grand on this deal, huh?
Yeah, I'm at 46, a little over 46,000.
So that could be half a year's pay for an average person out there working for a living, huh?
Yeah. Once I saw these numbers on this house, I was like, oh man, I gotta get this one. And that this is not an unusual deal either. I thought it was when I kept getting the email blasts. I was like almost jumping on all these different deals because it's they're out there. I wish I had more money. I would buy one every day. But
Well, that's
but
the goal.
yeah,
You keep making that kind of money, you'll have more money, right? Then you can buy more.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So actually, growth is exponential because of that, Scott. The more money you make, the more money you have, the more money you spend to invest, the faster you get wealthier. Just it's a crazy spiral, but it is it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
hmm Yeah, and just like you're saying, it's like this huge weight can't, is like lifted off of me because I know it works now. It's a real thing, and now I'm just looking at deals and comping houses and doing, I cannot get enough of this because it's actually real, and I know that I'm I've found this gold mine, but it's been there all along. I just had to dive in. I had to take a chance. And yeah, this is only one deal, but I know this has totally changed my life.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's time to take another break, so we will go ahead and do that. The rest of you hang in there. We'll be right back with Scott Common and the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here on Tell Del Tuesday is Scott Coman. I believe it's pronounced. I've been mispronouncing it all day. With this, where we're at right now, he's talked about the first deal that he'd done, which was from Seattle, Texas, Seattle, Washington, all the way down into Texas, Houston, just south of Houston, Texas. And he did it all with help from his vendors and mentors and so forth. So he's gotten through this whole deal, made quite a bit of money, $46,000 worth of profit in this deal. He has penciled out there. And of course, we have not verified that, but we take him for his word. We now want to ask the question, Scott, okay, where do you go from here? Are you going to do any more of these things?
Oh yeah. I've got two more lined up as of right now. I actually have inspectors going out to both properties today. And once I get those reports back, I already got the general contractor estimates. I will hopefully be pulling the trigger on those. I want to get those by the end of the week. So, um, yeah, I like I said, I can't buy enough of these. I'm gonna get everyone that I can get my hands on. So I'm working with Moon, the realtor there, and yeah, we're going gangbusters now because and now I've unlocked, I figured it out. I did my first one, like you've always said, just get one under your belt, and everyone said just after this first one, it's all going to change. So and it's true. I'm buying everyone that I can that I that's coming across my desk here. So
It's a
it's
common effect. I remember I tell the story from 37 years ago when I first started. I bought one. I was at closing. The broker's laughing at me because I was so hard to get to close the deal. I was scared to death and I was a skeptic. But I closed the deal and he looked at me at the closing table and said, "So, do you want to do any more of these?" And I said, "Yeah." All of a sudden I had all this fear muscle, man. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll do more. He goes, "How many do you want to do?" I go, "Three." And he laughed at me. He goes, "Three?" He said, "Why'd you pick that number?" I go, "Because that's all the money I got."
you're
That's all I can do.
exactly.
Right? And then after that, we'll do more. So I did three. And then I think after that, I did four. And then I actually did 11 of them at one time with one guy. I had some guy come in with me, give me some money, went and bought 11 of them. And then another guy gave me the money. We went and bought 10 of them. Another guy gave me some money. We went and bought 15 of them. Another lady gave me some money. And we went and bought 12 of them. And all of a sudden, I woke up one day, I had 107 houses. People just kept giving me money. They go, "Man, you're doing that pretty well. It looks like fun." I go, "Great. Why don't you do it?" He goes, "Nah, I'd rather you do it. I'll just give you all the money. You go do it." And so when you're young and you got energy like that, man, people are willing to throw money at you to go, especially if you have a system and the system works. So you've got a lot of upside potential. There's obviously two more. You're probably still working on your own money, or have you started recruiting people yet?
No, this is all my own money. And luckily, in the trade that I'm sheet metal, we make really good money up here. So I'm not, able to pay for my bills and everything, but I can use the money that I make at my W-2 job to fund some of these. Um, just because of the price difference is so different from up here, that where you're not able to do this up here in Seattle, nor would I, just because like you mentioned, like the tenant laws and it just everything. But I'm able to do it down in Texas, and there are some other states that I might do it in as well, where lifestyles is in. Um, but this price point makes it to where I'm able to do that. I could buy a
How
house
large was
really.
how large was this house? Just to give people some ideas from all over the country. I mean, how much cheaper it is down here in Texas. How large was the house?
The house is let's see here, 2,000 square feet.
Okay. So Seattle, 2,000 square foot would cost you 400, 500,000. What would it cost you?
Oh, more than that. More than in the neighborhood that I'm in, your median price is you're probably around 800,000, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you can see why people, Scott, that listen to this show and they try to relate it to where they live. And it doesn't make sense. It won't work. You can't buy an
It won't.
800,000 house and put a tenant in it and expect that the numbers are going to pencil out to any kind of a profit at all. So, yeah, that. The first thing to get over is that it doesn't work in every state. There's no doubt. By the way, you want to hear a funny one? Why do they call the
Hmm.
states the Democrats control blue?
What?
Because of the song. Blue, blue, my world is blue. My life
What?
sucks because I live there too. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out of here
Oh,
and come
I
down there.
digress.
But
I digress. Well, you don't have to get out of there. You just have to get rich enough that you can afford to pay the taxes. You know,
Well,
all you're doing is paying an extra 10 or 20% over what I do. You know,
that's it. Yeah. Small amount.
a small amount, not bad, right? So, hey, you got these two you're working on. How do you see this thing working in the future for you? What's your long-term plan? We only got about a minute left, so let's finish up with what your long-term plan is.
Long term, I want to have enough houses where it's cash flowing to where it replaces my income. And I would like to use a lot of this equity to get into multifamily. Um, I don't I don't own any multifamily yet. I just got this one single family house, but I think multifamily is where I want to end up. I do want to be a lead one day. Um, so that's where I think that's where I see myself.
Okay. Uh, we've got only 30 seconds left. What do people around you think? Have your family members heard about this yet? Your friends? Anybody, have any comments on you doing this stuff?
Yeah, all my friends think I'm crazy. And until I show them the numbers, and then they all want me to buy a house for them. Um, my family, my family, thinks it's great, and they also want me to buy a house for them.
Well, I thank you for coming on and sharing your story, Scott. Good luck on the next two and all of the rest of your investments. The rest of you out there, remember this. It's not the money. It's the lifestyle. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more of Dell's unconventional wisdom? Go to lifestylesunlimited.com and click the radio tab. Listen to past shows, hear podcasts on demand, and find out how you can change your life today. The Del Walmsley Radio Show is part of the Lifestyles Unlimited Radio Network.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley Radio Show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.